Welcome John and Chris from Blackstone Cherry. Welcome to Linea Rock, Italy. We are here in Milan, and this is the first night of your Italian tour, and actually is also the beginning of this European tour for you with Alter Bridge. Is that correct?
Yes. We did one show last night in Switzerland, in Zurich, but you know, this is basically, the first night is never really the first night because you have to work out all the kinks.
All right.
So tonight will be the first night of the good tour, I guess.
All right. And are you friends with Alter Bridge, or
Absolutely.
it was like an agency thing? How did it came, the tour together?
We've been touring with them since April.
Okay.
Well, May of this year. Yeah, they're great guys. Yeah, I mean,
We've met them a few
musicians,
times.
too.
We met them a few times, and then the Mike Plotnikoff, who engineered our record, is good friends with them because they did the last Creed record was done with Howard Benson, the same producer who did our record.
Yeah.
So Mike had got to know, got to know Brian, Flip, and Mark, and he went to see Alter Bridge and saw their manager and said, you know, you should really get Blackstone Cherry out with Alter Bridge. It would be a great match. And it was literally like 3 days later we had a phone call. I don't know if we wanted to tour with them in May. So we've been on the road with them ever since, and we've become great friends with them.
Right. Southern rock or alternative rock? Which one do you think defines your sound better? Or maybe, I don't know, we can say that you are modern rock pioneers which fly high, the Southern rock flag. What do you
When you say alternative rock, the only thing I can think of is like
Cagey Elephant.
1998. Like, no, that's not even right. Like,
No, you think of like Radiohead.
yeah, I think of
rock.
like, I don't even know how to describe alternative rock. I don't know.
Think of Radiohead. What's Losing My Religion band? REM.
Yeah, like,
Yeah, that's what I consider
those are
alternative
cool
rock.
ones.
All right.
I mean,
Those are cool. Those are cool. But like, I don't know. Like, we get classified as Southern rock a lot, but really we're just a rock band from the South. I mean, we damn sure don't sound like the early Leonard Skinner recordings or the Allman Brothers. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't use drop D tuning or drop C or B tuning. But you know, those bands have been some of the biggest influences on us. So I see where people get the Southern rock thing from, but we're not a Southern rock band.
we do have a lot of different influences, though. I mean, it's not just, you know, rock and Southern rock. Yeah, there's blues and there's country and there's, you know, metal. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different stuff that we grew up on.
And that's why your style is so rich and interesting, I guess.
Well,
So.
thank you very much. Thank you.
So you are one of the best, actually, modern roots rock bands, which play, you know, with heart and soul. Being from a small town, which is also a dry county of Kentucky, do you think that helped your burning desire of, you know, dreaming and artistic living with rock and roll and actually making it?
I think the fact that we didn't have other bands to compete with, because like you go to a big metropolitan area, I'll get it out in a second, like New York or LA, there's all these bands, and the first band that gets a record deal, every band adapts to that sound to try to be the next band to get that record deal. To where we were back in the woods, didn't have a damn clue about what was going on, and we just wrote songs that we liked and we enjoyed playing and got a feeling from. And I think that's why we sound different and unique compared to a lot of bands going, because we didn't have to compete with other bands that sounded like anybody. You know, it was like it was us and 5 other bands, and none of us sounded alike because we all wanted to be better than the other band. We're like, we got to sound completely different than them.
All right. So you're a great example of small town boys with high hopes and even bigger dreams that actually made it. But what does it take to actually make it? I mean, you have great style, you have songs, but which was the element that really helped, you know, to kick, you know, and go?
A lot of work. I mean, we would rehearse after school, you know, from 3 o'clock in the afternoon till midnight.
All right.
And we would do that 6 days a week, you know. And John Fred's dad was in a band that was highly successful in the late 80s, early 90s, called the Kentucky Headhunters. They won Grammy Awards. They won every kind of country music award you could think of. And having his knowledge of the record business really helped us to understand what we were getting into. And, you know, that the greatest advice we ever got was from Mitchell Fox, who was the Headhunters manager for years. he said, boys, because we went to go do a showcase for Atlantic Records, and he said, boys, prepare yourself for if they say yes. He said, don't worry if they say no. And that was the best advice we've ever been given, in my opinion, because if they say yes, if they say yes, you're with them and you're stuck and you're doing what you have to do. But if they say no, there's always next time. You know what I mean? So that was probably some of the best advice that we've ever been given, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's true. You know, there's a lot of bands that you know work hard and you know never get a shot to do what we do. So we're very fortunate to be able to be doing what we're doing, especially you know in different countries. And I mean, there's a lot of opportunity for us to keep doing this. I mean, we're very proud to be here.
I know it's a matter of working hard, but maybe the trick is not considering this as a job. Is what you actually guys do?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it is a job, but it's like
it's in our blood.
That's what you did there. It's like. I mean, it is a job because people don't see like you know the behind the scenes of dealing with business managers and managers and record labels and executives and all this stuff.
That's the business side.
And that's the business side. That's the job side of it.
All right.
What we do every night on stage is going up there and just having fun. You know what I mean? That's not the job side of it. That's the side of it that is you know all play. You know the work's all done on the bus or in offices or on the phone or in meetings and stuff like that. So I mean, it is a job. And the job side of it sucks, but the other side of it is the most amazing thing you could ever have in your life.
We have really good families that back us up. We have a lot of great friends at home too that have supported us, and we have a really, really great community and a home base in Edmonton, Kentucky. So we couldn't do it without them as well.
With crime.
So Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea is a very evocative title for this third album, and you defined it like a diary of your last 10 years. Is that correct? And in which sense it started like that?
You know, Ben found the title and approached us with it, and I was like, I think it's awesome. You know, like particularly to me, there's not like a deep meaning behind the album or the record, behind the name of the record rather. But I think the songs on the record are a culmination of the last 10 years of the band, and especially you know the entire year of 2010 and all the feelings that we felt throughout that year. You know, because it was the first album that wasn't just chock full of storytelling, and then had a few songs that were just emotional here and there. It's an album that has everything from party songs like White Trash Millionaire, Blame It on the Boom Boom, and Let Me See You Shake, to the serious side of things like In My Blood and Such a Shame and All I'm Dreaming Of. And I think we covered that and everything in the middle on this album, and it just kind of encompasses the feeling, all the feelings that a person feels throughout a year in their life.
Okay. And you come out with great guitar riffs. Is that the foundation of your songwriting usually, or how? I mean, how you
we normally go music first, but you know, like it's not always a guitar riff. Like you know, sometimes John Fred will play a drum beat, and we'll be like, "Oh, do that again," and then we'll put a guitar riff around that. Or John will do something on bass, or you know, one of us will have a guitar riff,
or hum a melody, or something.
Hum a melody. It's our songwriting is very eclectic,
very unique.
Yeah.
It's it is, and rather than having just one guy write the song, we have all four, you know, members acting as writers and creators of the music, you know. So I mean, it's really nice because you don't get kind of stuck sometimes. I mean, even with us four, we get stuck sometimes. But it's nice to have like even Chris will sit behind the drums and like, hey, play this, or like I'll play a G, the only chord I know, and I'm like, hey, check this out. So it's pretty cool. Glad to be in a band with very creative people, you know.
And the lyrics, just Chris work
All
on that?
four.
Everybody?
Yeah,
okay, that's very interesting. Yeah. So who's the devil and what's your deep blue sea? If you have to...
I don't know.
The devil is the music business.
All right.
No, I don't know. You know, it's funny to say that, and it's you know, fuck it, it's true. But you know, it's just... like I said, I don't know. The title has no meaning to me. It sounded awesome, and it made for a cool cover. So,
all right.
You know what I mean?
Deep, very deep.
Yeah.
Chris gets very deep with the album cover. Well, actually, the title, like Chris was saying, Ben, our guitar player, found it, and we had been through probably close to 50 or 60 names, for the album,
all right.
and some of them were just, completely horrible. It was just funny. It was like, how about this? Somebody's like, come on. But I think that the saying is just an old English saying for, between a rock and a hard place. And I think that it came from the times of very, very, very early naval times. So, it's kind of where we were. We were at home for a whole year, and we were writing songs, and we really wanted to be on the road. I mean, we didn't want to take a whole year to do our album, And I mean, in looking back on it, I mean, I'm glad we did, because we got to be home with our families, and we got to, do things that we hadn't done for like 6 years, But at the same time, it's kind of, once you get out here and you start touring, it's hard to actually stop doing this. Like, you get homesick, you want to get home for a couple weeks. But like, we were just home for a month, and we played last night in Switzerland, and it was so hard playing and being off for a month, because you're so sore, and you're just like, it takes it out of you, because when you're doing it, night after night, you get used to it. You get your strength built up. So, but yeah, the album title, it's
You're
that's what
tired.
it is. Yeah.
You're tired, Chris.
We're trying to get on this schedule over here.
So
I was doing good.
You're growing very fast as a band, album by album. What was the difference in the making of your 3 albums? And do you think that there is still time and space to let a band like Blackstone Cherry grow in the market nowadays?
I think so. I mean, the first album we did at home at Barrick Recording Studios with David Barrick, who owns the studio, and John Fred's dad, Richard, producing the album. And then the second album we did with Bob Marlette at Blackbird Studios
in Nashville.
Tennessee. And both those albums, we had family in every day. They were always down there, and that's great. But I feel like with this album, it's the first true representation of just the 4 guys at Blackstone Cherry.
Okay.
Because we flew to LA, and not everybody can just up and fly out to LA for a week and hang out with us. You know what I mean? Because hell, we hadn't toured all year. We didn't have the money to fly them out there. So we're out in LA.
We're broke.
And we're broke, and it's just the 4 of us making this record, and we're in there with a team of engineers, and I think it's, the truest representation of just what the 4 of us sit down in a room and do together.
I know you prefer to use vintage equipment. Is that correct? And I mean, is that to have a certain direction in the sound?
In the studio, we use a lot of vintage equipment, like vintage amplifiers and stuff. Mm-hmm. But live, that stuff just doesn't hold up, and you break it. Like I've had so many old Gibson guitars, and I literally sold them all. I've got 2 vintage ones left, and I play nothing but Paul Reed Smith guitars now.
So you prefer new guitars than vintage ones?
Yes.
For touring.
For touring, absolutely.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I haven't got to record with my Paul Reed Smith guitars yet, so it's an unfair judgment to say whether I like those better or the vintage ones in the studio. But as far as touring live, new guitars.
All right. White Trash Millionaire is inspired by someone in particular. Did you have anybody in mind while writing that song?
Me?
Yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Literally the first line of the song is, I've got a Trans Am and primer paint. And I drove that car to the practice house that day.
All right.
It was a 1981 Trans Am that half the car had been primered. The other half was still the original paint that was kind of chipping off. And I bought it as a restoration project. But that song is just kind of like us and the dumb shit we do at home. It's so funny to people, but it's like it's all true stuff that we do. Like there's a couch on the front porch of the rehearsal house we have called the practice house, and there may or may not have been left-handed cigarette smoke there before. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of just us. It's what we do and the things that we do with our friends back home.
Okay. And on your second album, Folklore and Superstition, there was this special song called Ghost of Floyd Collins. Mm-hmm. Who's Floyd Collins?
Floyd Collins was the greatest cave explorer in North America at the time. He actually, where we live in Kentucky, it's very cavernous, and you have caves that run all throughout the south central part of Kentucky.
Hell, you've got the biggest cave system in the world there.
Yeah, Mammoth Cave is actually one of the 7th wonders of the natural world, and it's the biggest non-man-made cave. And I forget how many miles there are, but there's thousands. I mean, but anyway, Floyd Collins, the time that caves started becoming a roadside, oddity or a family thing. You would take your family to go see a cave, or you had people that were coming through that might not had ever been to a cave before. Yeah. So Floyd Collins was a spelunker. That's the term for a cave explorer. Anyway, he got trapped.
Sounds like something else.
It does. He got trapped in a cave, and basically, for the time, obviously they didn't have the internet and everything like that, but it was such a big event that people from all over the country started to pour in to see, this man trapped in a cave. He was going to make it out of the cave. Yeah, it was kind of like, present day time, but without the internet. So, but we kind of there's a lot of things about Floyd Collins, like
the only part of the song we changed was that, as far as the story was, we said Mammoth Cave just because it's worldwide known cave.
Yeah.
And Sand Cave, where he actually was trapped outside of Kentucky, and people that research Floyd Collins, you don't know much about Sand Cave.
And Sand Cave didn't have Mammoth. It didn't go well with the chorus. So.
Down in Sand Cave. It doesn't sing right.
It didn't sound good at all. So, but in homage to Mr. Collins, that's our song from him.
The first song about him coming back meaning.
But anyway, a lot of people say that, that for years after, his ghost roamed the place and kind of, stole the equipment of other, cave explorers and things like that. So it's our tribute to Mr. Collins. I would love to play it on tour, but somebody doesn't want to play it on tour. Not pointing any fingers or anything, but
we have 3 albums worth of material, and we have to.
The songs that we like to play on tour.
Yeah. Concerning that, I mean, the set. How long is your set with Alter Bridge? And do you spread and play songs from all the records, or you prefer to promote the new one?
we obviously we promote the new one. I think we're doing like 4 or 5 songs off the new record, but we're doing an hour set. We're doing like 12 songs. Okay. So we mix it up pretty well.
Pretty good. Okay, last question. So Blackstone Cherry is also the name of a variety of cigarettes or something like that.
Yes,
was that actually the inspiration?
Yep.
For the name of the band? Okay, so your goal is that people one day will say, hey, look, these cigarettes are named after that great band.
What it is, there's a company called Blackstone, and they make the most horrible tasting cigars in the world.
Okay.
And they have cherry flavored ones.
All right.
So it's got Blackstone, and it has a flavor beneath it.
All right.
So Blackstone Vanilla just didn't sound very good.
No.
But
too mellow.
Blackstone Cherry sounded pretty awesome. And I was staying all night with John, and John, Fred, and Ben called us at like 7 o'clock in the morning. They hadn't been asleep yet. And they're like, hey, we got a band name and a website. And I'm like, oh, cool. Thanks for telling us what the fucking band name is. And they're like, what's Blackstone Cherry? And I'm like, okay, that works. And it was like, literally, things happen that easy for us.
Okay. So thanks very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
So
it.
good luck for everything. And check these guys out. The album is great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.